We first start by labeling all the doors. A number goes on the inside of the cabinet and on the hinge. This way, when we're done the project, we know which doors go where. To remove the door hinges, you press a button on the back of the hinge, then the whole thing pops off. There are several other types of door hinges, but this is the most common type. To reinstall the door, you simply clip it back in the opposite way it came off. When all the doors have been labeled, we remove them. Normally, we would also remove the handles first, but this example has no handles. The next step is to remove the hinges from the doors. The hardware is then labeled before the door is sent off to the shop. The hinges are almost always attached by two small screws. Unless we are replacing them, the hinges need to be labeled. Each door has been adjusted to sit just right, so putting all the hinges back the same way saves us from readjusting everything at the end of the project. First, I put a small piece of tape on the topmost hinge. If we put the hinges back on the same door, but not correctly top to bottom, the door will sit opposite to what it was before. Then I tape the two hinges together and write the number of the door onto the tape. Finally, the number is written onto the door itself, in the hole where the hinge went. A piece of tape covers it to keep the paint off. Label the top hole so that when we put the hinges back on, we know where to put each hinge. This is what each hinge should look like at the end. Drawer fronts also need to be removed. There are several mechanisms by which they are attached, but this is the most common and simple type. The two screws that hold the handle on go through both the drawer box and the drawer front. There are also two wood screws pinning the drawer front on in the corners. All these need to be removed and set aside. The drawer front is also sometimes glued, taped, or nailed on, but this is rare. If that is the case, I simply use a small lever to carefully pry the drawer front off. To label the drawers, we simply write the number on the back in the center, followed by an arrow facing up. The arrow is to let us know what direction the drawer goes back on when we are finished. A piece of tape is then placed over the number. This is the other main mechanism for attaching drawers. Start by removing the plastic cover plate. Slide back the plastic ring on the top bar. The bar then pops off to the side. The drawer front is then released by this mechanism. Using a Phillips screwdriver, push the little tab upwards and insert the bit into its slot. Rotate clockwise and the drawer will pop off. Here is an example of a drawer reinstallation. I start by screwing in the wood screws to the point where they are sticking out only a millimeter or two. If the drawer has stuff in it, you can use a right angle attachment as I am here to avoid having to take out as much stuff. Line up the drawer front so that the points of the screws fall into their original holes. When you press the piece up against the box, you can feel if it's fallen into its original position or not. While holding the front in place, tighten the screws all the way. In this example, we drilled new holes, so the hole needs to be continued into the box. Simply drill all the way through. Be careful to prevent the drill from smashing into the drawer front. Finally, screw in the handles and you're done. Drawer handle screws will often need to be 1/4 of an inch longer than door handle screws. Be sure to screw the drawer in all the way or there will be a gap like this and it won't sit right when it's closed. To reinstall this type of drawer, we start by screwing in the hardware. Don't drill too hard or you could strip the wood. With this drawer, we install the handle prior to installing the front. The drawer then simply clips on. The bars slide into their place and the covers are replaced. We finish by adding bumpers to all the doors and drawers. The drawers get one bumper on each side in the middle. If it is a large drawer, you can use 4 bumpers, one on each corner. Doors get 2 bumpers, one on each corner opposite the hinges. We also sometimes install strips of white veneer over the wood veneer on the edges of the cabinet shelves. The veneer goes on easily. You simply peel off the backing and stick the veneer on. Make sure the first end is cut cleanly, and then using the flush cut snips, cut the second edge off. Make sure the veneer is aligned perfectly all the way along. This is best done before the doors are installed, as you can slide the shelf forwards a bit and the door won't get in the way.